This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, it's good to be back as we roll into 8 o'clock all over the world on television, 9 o'clock in the East, 8 o'clock Central Time. That's CircleCountry.com, and you can link to your favorite streaming platform there or just watch at CircleCountry.com. Charlie Mattos, Kelly Sutton.
Hello.
Andy Nye, our studio director. What was it she forgot to bring us to eat? She was supposed to.
Soup, yeah. We were talking soups yesterday, and we did not get sausage, potato, cheddar soup.
Will we be getting it this week, Annie, as we enter the month of October? Because it's kind of
she feels
a
obligated.
soupy thing to do for October. And Jeff Roberts, Master Control, rock solid up there. He's just above us here in the Acuff House studio on the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. Kelly Sutton, what you working on?
Man, it's been incredible to watch the help pour in for all of our friends in East Tennessee and North Carolina. Still trying to figure out exactly the amount of damage. It's still people that are missing that have not been found. But Morgan Wallen stepping up and making a huge donation to the American Red Cross. So we're going to tell you more about that coming up. Also, Cody Johnson just announced his deluxe tour, everybody. It's 2025, but you will not be disappointed with a few of the headliners that he's already said will be joining him on that tour. And it's International Coffee Day. So how many cups of coffee do you drink every day? We've got that and more coming up.
I was just sitting here looking at the story of President Carter, who is 100 years old today.
Oh, it's his birthday.
Jimmy Carter sets a new record today, his birthday, becoming the first American president to make it to 100.
Oh, wow.
A milestone more and more Americans will reach in years to come, and something the American social safety net is not prepared for. There's something to look forward to.
Fantastic.
A long and healthy life. No, don't bother. Carter's post-presidency began in 1981 after he lost his bid for re-election. He was 56, too young for Social Security and Medicare, had to go back to work. And what you working on over there, Kelly Sutton, as we enter the first day of October and all things pumpkin have entered our diet?
Well, October 1st is the day it will go down. Everyone will remember Rascal Flatts reuniting. It's happening. I thought it might be. I saw some stuff on social media. There were hints that were being made. We now know it is happening. Rascal Flatts together for their 25th anniversary tour. Tickets are going to be on sale very soon. First show is going to be in Evansville, Indiana. They are going to have Lauren Elena out there on the road with them. And I believe Chris Lane is going to be making some appearances as well. So if you missed the boys, they back.
So how long has it been? How many years?
They were supposed to do their 2020 tour, and that kind of went to the wayside because 2020, and that would have been 20 years for them. So they had already announced.
So it was 20 years in 2020.
Yes, and they had already announced that they were planning on retiring after that. They never got a chance to do that tour, and since disbanded. So it was kind of like instead of this big celebration and they went out on the high, it was this little fizzle.
So it was COVID, right?
Yeah.
That kept them from, Wow.
So they celebrate 25, right? Yeah.
This is crazy. I was in Disney World in January of 2020. I got the email saying Rascal Flatts is going to call it quits after this tour. And I was so sad. And I was standing in line to get on a bus at Disney World and they were playing Life is a Highway. I was like, why is this hurting me? Why is this hurting my feelings so badly? And I realized it's because Rascal Flatts as a group is one of the groups that when I came to town, they were just starting to really gain a lot of traction. And I was kind of there for the entire ride. So I was at one of their very first fan club parties during CMA Fest. It was at Nashville Shores. It was like me and 100 people in the middle of the woods, like listening to them on the front porch of a little cabin. So being there and watching the whole thing happen and then watching them say that they're retiring, I'm like, oh man, I've been there for that whole ride. So I'm glad that they're back.
And I remember that first Grand Ole Opry performance, their debut. And I was here on the complex, but I wasn't working the Opry that night.
Yeah.
And hearing Praying for Daylight. I may have actually done television early and left. And was listening in the parking lot and heard them doing Praying for Daylight.
Their harmonies.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh.
Yeah. So boys
well, you
are
knew
back.
there was something special with Gary LaVox's voice when the first time you heard them.
It is going to be called the Life is a Highway tour, and it goes all the way through, I think They've got tour dates all the way into April of next year. So go online, get your tickets. They're back. I'm very excited about that. Morgan Wallen reaching into his pocket and making a huge donation to help out flood relief efforts. We've been watching the chaos that's happening in North Carolina, South Carolina, and East Tennessee. Roads washed away, the death toll well over 100 plus people still missing. And, those places are just devastated. Morgan Wallen stepped up and said, hey, these are my people, East Tennessee. I want to make a difference. Made a $500,000 donation to the American Red Cross, and is also saying, hey, we're going to figure out more efforts, what we can do to come together, whether it is a relief concert or whatever we can do. We're going to help take care of our people. Luke Combs has stepped up to say the same. Eric Church is in on this. I think that they're all really working together in some collaborative effort. But as soon as we find out more, if there's going to be like a big telethon or if they're going to do a benefit concert, we'll let you know more about that. Cody Johnson announced his tour. It's the Leather Deluxe. Look out. He is going out on tour next year, 2025. He's got Ashley McBryde, Drew Baldridge, and Walker Montgomery as a few of the openers. They are going to switch out at different locations. But man, I was so tickled to see Drew Baldridge on this list. I love him so much. He just had a #1 hit with Somebody's Daughter. This was a song that he wrote and put out on his own. He wasn't signed to a major label, took it all the way to #1. And I'm just really, really happy for Drew Baldridge to be a part of this. Again, Cody's tickets go on sale this Friday, so you can get all of your tickets lined up for 2025. Like, you got to buy it now to go to a concert in 6 or 7 months.
Leather Deluxe, also known as the Pleather Tour.
You say that to his face.
The Naugahyde Tour.
You say
How about that,
I
Cody
can't.
Johnson?
I would never say that to his face. Now, I do know he's going to take a little break in March because he's also going to be on the lineup for C2C, Country to Country Festival. This is Europe's biggest country music festival. It's in 3 different cities simultaneously. So you have London, you have Glasgow, and you have Belfast. And they are going over in groups. So your headliners, Lainey Wilson, Dierks Bentley, and Cody Johnson. Also on the bill, you're going to have Dylan Gossett, Tucker Wetmore, Wyatt Flores. Tyler Hubbard is going to be there, Chase Beckham, Shabuzi, Avriana. It's so cool because you can buy your tickets for one location. Let's say you want to be in London, and the first night you'll see Lainey, and the second night you'll see Dierks, and the third night you'll see Cody and all of the people that are with them. So they travel in pods.
But what if I want to see Lainey 3 times?
Then you go to 3 different locations. You go London, then you go to Glasgow, and then you'll go to Belfast.
Oh,
it's so cool.
I've been to none of those, so I would like to go.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
get your passport in order, bud.
I've got my passport is ready. Opry Dan, my passport is ready.
Me too. I keep saying, to me, I would love to see them in the O2 Arena, which is London, but also, man, how cool would it be to be in Scotland with them? Because I've never been to Scotland before. So anyway, tickets go on sale for that on Friday. Get your tickets now and get your passport all straightened out because that thing takes a few minutes to get it done. Luke Brown, do want to let you know today is International Coffee Day, everybody. So celebrate accordingly. It's also Pumpkin Spice Day. So you can put those 2 things together, have yourself a little pumpkin spice latte and feel absolutely no guilt. We asked this earlier, but just in case anyone wasn't listening, how many cups of coffee do you think we consume daily in the U.S.? So this is daily average in the U.S.
Based on 8 ounces?
Overall.
8 ounces per cup?
I'm guessing,
Yeah, I guessed 200 million, and
You
I was
said-
woefully short.
Yeah.
I said 250 million.
And it's 400 million cups of coffee.
But I have your answer to the international number.
Okay.
Because you said I have the domestic number.
I saw the
don't have.
domestic.
Over 2.25 billion cups of coffee are consumed worldwide daily. This is equivalent to about 500 billion cups of coffee in a typical year.
Well, there you go. Now you know why it's International Coffee Day, not just, we had National Coffee Day over the weekend, but today is International Coffee Day.
Over
So,
90%
yeah.
of the coffee, the production of coffee takes place in developing countries, mainly South America, while consumption happens primarily in industrialized economies.
Because we out here making stuff happen and we need to get juice to make it happen.
Because we spoil rotten.
That's
why.
right. That's right. We got all of the coffee. Enjoy it. Average is like 3 cups a day, but I think today you could do 4.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
And welcome 20-year member of the Grand Ole Opry and all things Christmas at Gaylord Opryland 2024, beginning in early November, Terri Clark to Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Well, hello. It's so nice to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
This is Mr. A. Cup's living room. Do you know that?
It is?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This is where he used to just hang out and
This was
watch
the fireplace
Netflix?
where the logo
no
is.
Netflix. Wow, that is so cool. Was that where the big screen TV? What?
No, that's
Wait,
the fireplace.
No big screen TV. No. Yes, okay. This is really cool then. Really neat, yeah.
As soon as you walked in, I said, "Merry Christmas! This
Yeah.
is it. We're kicking it off."
And I was like, already?
Yeah.
Already? Well, I got to be a part of a 90s music sort of museum presentation that they had going on here in the Acuff house. So this isn't the first time I've been in here. So I came to see my little display that the Opry put on a couple of years ago, which was a lot of fun.
You'll like the fact your Opry sister, Jeannie Seeley, was the first ever guest when we moved here a couple of months ago. And Kelly asked her, said, "Now, where was the bedroom?" And
I was trying to get the layout.
And Seeley replied,
I set her up. Well, Kelly, I don't know. I was never in Mr. A. Cup's bedroom. I was just trying to get the layout. I was like, okay, I know we were in. I
You
set
just
her up.
walked
set
right
her up.
into it.
I know.
So this is the 41st year for the Gaylord Opryland Country Christmas celebration that starts with our lighting ceremony.
Yep.
We'll all be a part of that on November the 7th.
So excited about that. I mean, because that's like the kickoff of the season here. I get to be a part of that.
Have
That's
you
so
ever
cool.
come to shows with other artists
Yes.
through the years who've had residency?
Yes, Trace Adkins did one a few years ago, and he asked me to come out and sing a Christmas song with his band, so I did that. But that's really the only time I've done it, and I know that it's been something that's been on my radar for a long time, and I've wanted to do, especially since I made a Christmas record. Finally, it took me a long time to make a Christmas record, and I put one out in 2020 that so nobody knows about it. You were talking about 2020 earlier.
We're going to feature music from it before you leave. It's Christmas, ... Cheers.
Cheers.
That's the name of Terri
Yeah.
Clark's Christmas album.
What was your favorite Christmas song growing up? Like, what was the one when you heard it, you went, oh, okay, it's the season?
Oh gosh, I love "Baby It's Cold Outside," controversial or not. But I'm a big Christmas movie fan. I love The Grinch. Like I almost cut The Grinch on my record because I love that so much. But you know, there are just songs that represent Christmas, like Silver Bells, Little Drummer Boy, which I will do in the show. I'm doing Little Drummer Boy in the show, even though it's not on my Christmas record. But there are just the staples, you know, that you hear them and you can almost feel the snow falling. Not that we get a lot of that in Tennessee, but you know what I mean. It's pretty cool.
You could be Terry Lou Who.
Terry. I'm a little more than two.
So Christmas time in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada had to be particularly special because I'm guessing you were always guaranteed snow, right?
Always snow. In fact, I had to shovel a lot of it as a kid. That was part of my chores, you know, was shoveling the sidewalk in the driveway, and then not only shoveling it, but taking a broom and sweeping it so it was just as clean as a whistle. But yeah, we always had snow, and Christmas was always a big deal around my house. I'm a Christmas freak. I absolutely love it, and we decorate the house to the nines, and it wins best lights on the street. I think we've been told by the neighbors that the house wins the best lights contest.
Do you have multiple trees or just one tree?
Well, there are two, but
That would be multiple.
It's a little over the top. I will say it's a little over the top. Like it's going to rival Opryland's light show.
Do you have inflatables? Do you do the inflatables?
No. I think they should be banned. I'm sorry if anyone's listening that has inflatables in their yard, but there ought to be a law against that.
By the way, Terri at Gaylord Opryland for Christmas, 14 shows running through December 22nd. And the front men of country will be doing 9 shows running through December 25th, Christmas Day.
There is nothing more sad, by the way, than a deflated. They're just
then a deflated inflatable.
They're just so
well,
sad.
There's this house at the end of I want to say it's at the end of Harding as you turn right to go towards Belmead, and the whole yard is inflatables. So I'm talking like there are probably 50 of them out there. So when Christmas is over, it looks like a war zone. It's depressing. They're just all laying around.
Terri does a drive-by with a BB gun.
That's right. Yeah.
They need to put a sign out there that says, "I feel so deflated."
I mentioned your Opry membership of 20 years now. Take us back to 2004 when your mom, your late mother, and Steve Wariner got together. Planned a surprise for you that night, didn't they?
They did. My mom had just been down visiting. She would come for about a month and visit with me and her grandkids and stuff. And she had been home in Medicine Hat for 3 weeks. So, of course, I'm just there doing another Opry show, which is always awesome, and just excited about that and not thinking anything is happening. And
so how many times had you played it probably at that point?
Oh, I have no idea, Bill.
But a bunch?
I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Probably at least 100 times.
Oh, wow.
And so out they walk in between my songs with this sign that has the date that I was being inducted on it. And I just turned around and saw my mom, and the first thing I thought was, what are you doing here? You were just here. And they asked me to become a member, and it was one of the most memorable, moving, unbelievably awesome moments of my entire life. And I just couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. I had absolutely no idea. People don't realize we really have no idea. It's under wraps, and people were, even my band knew about this. My tour manager, my band, my mom, obviously, and it's hard to keep that kind of a secret from people. Like, I knew about Lainey Wilson's induction a couple of months before she was inducted, and I had been talking to her and stuff. So, it's kind of like you don't even want to be around that person. It's like, you don't want
to be the one that ruins
the cat out of the bag.
That's
Exactly.
right.
So what was the Steve Wariner connection for you?
Steve is a good friend. He's one of the kindest people in the business,
Yeah.
and I don't know that. I think that my mom was the big thing. The Opry flew her down, and they were hiding her in one of the broom closets backstage. And I was walking back and forth, walking right past her, and she said, I just kept hearing your voice in the hallway, and I wanted to run out and give you a hug, but I was supposed to hide. And I just think Steve being on the Opry that night too, as well, and an Opry member who we all respect and love so much, it was a good combination.
Well, you mentioned Lainey. We celebrated her induction and your 20th anniversary on one magical night. So and then you guys did a killer version of course, Poor Pitiful Me. Sounded so great.
She is so great, and we've become friends, and we often text each other, and I check in on her. I know how hard she works. She's just a hustler, man. She's a go-getter, and as I'm kind of in that legacy artist category now, the mentor category. I'm always like, are you taking your vitamins and getting enough sleep?
Terry,
yes, big sister, I am.
Terry's new album is called Take Two. You redid the hits with Lainey Wilson, Ashley McBride, Ben Rector. That was my pick of the week back in June.
Thank you. You played that. Somebody told me.
Yeah, now that I found you, Lauren Elena, Kelly Clarkson, Carly Pierce, and Paul Brandt, fellow Canadian. Mm-hmm. And we're going to play Cody Johnson, which is the first cut people hear on the album. What was the impetus for you to do these songs again and do them this way?
Well, I thought, and this kind of was a discussion going on with my manager, Clarence Spalding, for even before 2020 happened. And we had been kind of floating the idea around. And then, it was just time. It was time to do something to kind of remind people of who I was and my music, because over time and generations come along, new generations, and a lot of younger people listening to country music, something will fade away, and it was just a great opportunity to freshen up these songs and put a new spin on them. Mm-hmm. I've been playing the same versions of these songs, some of them between 20 and 30 years, so not that they get old, because I'm always so grateful and seeing the joy on people's faces and singing along when they recognize them. But it was a great opportunity to freshen them up, even for me and my band, to play live too as well.
So how did you decide who was going to sing what?
Well, I had a wish list I put together of people, and Kelly Clarkson was at the top of the list, and I was told that would be an impossible thing to get. And then, you know what happened? 2 weeks after that conversation, I got a random text from somebody's number I didn't recognize, and it turned out to be Kelly Clarkson, and we went back and forth. We would not reveal our identity to each other because we thought we had the wrong people.
That's amazing.
I had to call Reba McEntire.
Well, if you're going to fact check, she's your fact check queen.
She said, yeah, that's her number, Terri Clark. You just go ahead and you text her back. You'll be fine. Don't forget to watch Happy's Place in October. So Kelly wound up picking "If I Were You." She picked that song,
Okay.
but the other artists, I really had some specific songs in mind for, like Ben on "Now That I Found You," because he comes kind of from that pop realm, and Cody Johnson, I'm just a huge fan. Huge fan of Cody. I love everything he does, everything he stands for. He is just like Garth Brooks and George Strait rolled into one, and just such a great singer. So we went back and forth about a couple songs, and he gravitated towards "I Just Want to Be Mad," and I said, this can be a really cool duet, because it's always been about the side of the woman being angry. Leave me alone, don't touch me. I'm not ready to make up yet. And it was always just me over there being that person in that relationship. And this version of the song is more of a conversation, where it's a back and forth, where they're both angry at each other. They're both having a moment where they don't necessarily want to make up yet. They need to have their feelings. So it feels like a completely different song to me, and we slowed it down, we toughened it up, we did a very different production on it. So Cody said in the studio, he goes, "Hey, that sounds like a hit." I said, "Again."
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
It's Christmas. Cheers, the dinner show at Gaylord Opryland with our special guest and Grand Ole Opry star, 20 years now, Terri Clark, in studio this morning. And she is doing, along with the front men of country, the entire run, but 14 shows for you that'll run through December 22nd. And the front men are doing 9 shows that run through Christmas Day. And you've done this back home in Canada, you say.
I did. I did a Christmas tour around my album, It's Christmas Cheers, not to be confused with Blake Shelton's Cheers, It's Christmas. Just saying.
Who put it out first?
Yeah.
Was yours out first?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we went across Canada and did, I think, 13 or 14 of these 2 years ago. So I've still got my set list and all my notes and all my stuff. So I'm going to start running through everything again. And as a band, we're going to be out west for 2 weeks playing a lot of theaters. So we got lots of sound checks to get our A game back on with that show. But I've got all my outfits and everything, and I think I still fit them. So I have my Christmas things. I've got some nice jackets and sparkly things, and it's not going to be all Christmas. Of course, you're going to hear Better Things to Do. You're going to hear Poor Pitiful Me, Girls Lie Too, a few of those in that show. But it's going to be more focused on Christmas for sure.
So like a month ago, you headlined the Ryman Auditorium for the very first time in your career. And there you were, just steps away from Tootsie's. What is it, 42 steps, I think? Yeah. 42 steps from Tootsie's to the Ryman. Where
42 steps in 38 years. For me.
Where you were, 18 when you started gigging at Tootsie's?
Mm-hmm. I was 18. I moved from Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada in 1987. And my mom was able to stay for about a week and help me line up a place to live. And I got a cheap room for rent in exchange for some babysitting services. And took the bus down to Tootsie's. We wound up going into Tootsie's as tourists, and I wound up on stage singing, and they offered me a gig. So I played the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift at Tootsie's 3 days a week when I was 18, and took the city bus down there with my guitar. I couldn't get a job. So I made $15 a day and whatever tips I could muster up. And a lot of days I didn't walk out of there with a whole lot. Lower Broadway was boarded up. It was not what it is now. It was pretty. If seedy's the word I would use, that would be it. Yeah.
You 2 doors down from Adult World, if I remember correctly, because
Adult
that
World.
was still there when I moved to town in 19.
Adult. It says that. Oh, you remember
very
Adult
good.
World?
Listen, a man has to make $1.
Whatever.
What do adults do at Adult World?
We'll leave that to the imagination, I think.
Hey, this is a family show.
What cover song would you do that got you the biggest tips?
Anything Patsy Cline, I would say. And I will say I did these male impersonations of John Conley, John Anderson, Ernest Tubb, George Jones, and anytime I would roll that thing out, I swear to God, that tip jar would fill up. And
That's amazing.
People would walk through the door because, the stage is kind of where the door is, and they walk in, not look at me, and turn around and look at me and do a double take like, that is a girl. That is a girl.
So what was your go-to? Ernest Tubb.
I'm walking the floor over you. Well, it's early. I did that. I was better at that one back then, but I still pull out the John Anderson and John Conley once in a while. I've done John Conley on the stage of the Opry when John is there.
Rose-colored?
Yeah, and he brings me out a pair of rose-colored. He loves it. He's like, she does me better than I do.
What's your John Anderson go-to? Swinging?
Oh, swinging for sure. Yeah, but it's... I met the guy who wrote Black Sheep of the Family the other night, actually. But yes, I mean, those guys just had such identifiable voices. But that always got me. It was kind of the novelty part of my show. But if I was singing seriously, anything Patsy Cline or Loretta Lynn always got a big round of applause. And of course, when I was playing there, Randy Travis was really hot. Roseanne Cash. So I would do cover songs of the day, Ricky Skaggs and Reba, lots of Reba, lots of Judds. Stuff like that.
You know, it's interesting. There's lots of ways to be a star nowadays. Obviously, you got Idol, you got The Voice, you got America's Got Talent. But that train. Oh yeah, overnight, right? Yeah. But that training of singing to people for 4 hours who may or may not be listening. It's right. I mean, it's invaluable though, right? I mean, you paid your dues on that.
Well, that's assuming there were people in there at 10:30 or 11 in the morning. Yeah. There were many mornings I went in there and there was just me and the bartender, so I was singing to her. One time I remember we had to drag a guy out from the doorway. We couldn't get in to open the place up because he was still there from the night before. Oh. So she grabbed his feet and I grabbed his arms. We hauled him out onto the sidewalk.
Why, look, it's Charlie Chase. Yeah, son of a gun. I wonder what he was doing these days.
Well, I would have known if it was Charlie Chase because I was a big fan of Lorianne and Charlie and This Week in Country Music back then.
So we are too, and they're going into the National Radio Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it just happened.
As they should.
And tell us quickly as we wrap up this morning, Terry, about your Canadian Music Hall of Fame induction last year. Speaking of things that have happened in recent days.
It's been an incredible couple of years. I mean, touring with Reba last year, getting to play Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl, and then doing the Ryman a few weeks ago, and then last year being inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. Like, that's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for Canada. Mm-hmm. So, you know, being in the same anything as people like Joni Mitchell and Neil Young and Anne Murray and Shania and Gordon Lightfoot was just it was just a surreal experience. And I think Shania was the last country artist they inducted in 2011, I think. So
wow.
It's not like country is just always getting inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. So I felt very honored to be representing, you know, country music last year. It was a neat thing. You know, I just wish my mom had been there for that. Mm-hmm.